You've spent your whole life chasing something. Success, love, validation, believing that once you have enough, you'll finally feel whole. But no matter how much you achieve, how much approval you gather, the emptiness always returns. What if the fulfillment you seek isn't out there at all? What if the real journey isn't about gaining more, but about uncovering what was never missing? This isn't just a new way of thinking. It's a shift that changes everything. You wake up, step into your routine, and move through the day just like yesterday, just like the day before. There's a rhythm to it all, a structure that feels familiar, predictable. Yet beneath the surface, something stirs. Quiet longing, a question that lingers at the edges of your thoughts. Why does it always feel like something is missing? You've done everything you were supposed to, followed the rules, set goals, achieved things that should have brought satisfaction. And for a while they did. The praise, the success, the moments of recognition, they felt good. But then the feeling faded, like water slipping through open hands. And so the search continued. More achievements, more approval, more love. But has it ever been enough? There's a pattern here, a cycle that keeps repeating. Chase, attain, feel fulfilled for a moment. Then the emptiness returns. And so the next pursuit begins. A new goal, a new milestone, a new person to seek validation from. What if this endless chase is built on an illusion? What if everything you've been told about happiness, about fulfillment, about love, is only a shadow of the truth? There is a different way to see, a different way to live. But first, the question must be asked. What if what you're looking for was never outside of you? From the beginning, the world has shown you a path. Started early, subtle at first, then louder. The voices of teachers, parents, society itself, all shaping the way you see yourself. Be successful. Be admired. Be loved. If you have these things, you'll be happy. And so, you listened. You built yourself according to the blueprint given to you. Worked hard. Sought approval. Measured your worth through achievements and the way others responded to you. When they praised you, it felt right. When they didn't, doubt crept in. But something never quite added up. Because no matter how much you gained, no matter how much love, success, or recognition, you still felt it. The quiet unease. The whisper that something wasn't complete. So you kept searching, chasing, achieving, believing that just beyond the next milestone, fulfillment was waiting. But what if the pursuit itself is the trap? What if the idea that happiness exists outside of you is the very reason it always feels just out of reach? Step back for a moment. Look at the maze you've been running through. The walls were built from expectations you never questioned, beliefs handed down without a second thought. What if those walls were never real? There was always a promise, a quiet assurance that once you reached a certain point, everything would fall into place. Maybe it was the perfect job, the ideal relationship, the admiration of others. Maybe it was wealth, status, or finally proving yourself to the world. You pursued it with everything you had. And when you got there, when you held that achievement in your hands, it felt real. Felt like arrival. For a while. Then slowly the feeling faded. The joy that once felt limitless became ordinary. The love that once felt electric settled into routine. The success that once seemed like everything became just another part of life. So you set a new goal. Something bigger, something better. A new dream to chase, another summit to climb. Because this time it would be different. This time it would last. But it never does. Each accomplishment, each moment of validation, each fleeting sense of wholeness, it all slips away, revealing the same unanswered question. Why does it still feel like something is missing? Could it be that the thing you're searching for isn't out there at all? Could it be that the pursuit itself is the illusion? Because a mirage never disappears. It just moves further away every time you reach for it. There's a voice inside you, persistent, relentless. It whispers in moments of silence, pushing you forward, reminding you of everything you don't yet have. More success, more recognition, more love, always more. Convinces you that once you achieve the next thing, you'll finally be at peace. But when you get there, it barely pauses before setting its sights on the next goal. The satisfaction never lasts. The hunger never fades. This is the nature of the ego. It is never full, never satisfied. It collects accomplishments like trophies, but they only decorate the walls of an empty room. It seeks admiration, but the moment it receives it, craving begins again. It longs for love but fears not being worthy of it, turning every relationship into a fragile balancing act between desire and doubt. And the cruelest trick? It makes you believe that this is just how life is, that restlessness is normal, that happiness is a fleeting prize, always just beyond reach. But step back, see it for what it is, the endless cycle, the constant hunger, the way fulfillment always slips through your fingers. What if the problem isn't that you haven't done enough? What if the problem is that the ego was never designed to be satisfied at all? Beneath the noise, beyond the endless cycle of wanting and chasing, there is something else, something still, something untouched. It has always been there, waiting in the quiet spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between moments of striving. But it is subtle, overlooked, drowned out by the mind's relentless search for more. For so long, identity has been built on things outside of you, the roles you play, the opinions others hold, the successes and failures that seem to define your worth. But none of these things are permanent. They shift, change, slip away. And with each change, the question returns. Who am I beneath it all? Not the titles, not the achievements, not the approval of others. Something deeper, something constant, a presence, an awareness, a knowing that does not depend on anything external. It is not seeking, it is not lacking, it simply is. And for the first time, the possibility emerges. What if this has been the truth all along? What if the fulfillment that seemed so distant has been here, within you, waiting to be seen? Something shifts. The chase that once felt so urgent now seems hollow. The endless pursuit of approval, success, love, things that once felt like the very foundation of happiness, begin to lose their grip. Not because they don't matter, but because they were never the source. For so long, fulfillment seemed like something to be earned, something just beyond reach. The mind clung to the idea that once the right conditions were met, peace would finally arrive. But now, a deeper truth is revealed. It was never about the external world at all. The suffering, the restlessness, the feeling of being incomplete, these weren't caused by a lack of success or love. They were caused by the belief that something was missing. The illusion was never in the world itself. It was in the way it was perceived. And as that belief begins to dissolve, so does the weight it carried. The struggle to prove, to attain, to be enough fades into something unexpected. Stillness, presence, a quiet understanding that nothing needs to be fixed, because nothing was ever truly broken. Love was always something to be earned. That was the belief. Be good enough, be successful enough, be desirable enough, and love will come. It became a transaction, a fragile exchange where worth was measured by how others responded. But what if love was never meant to be a reward? For so long, the heart reached outward, searching for validation, waiting for someone else to offer the acceptance that felt just out of reach. But the moment of realization comes, not as a grand revelation, but as something quiet, undeniable. Love is not something to be given or taken away. It is not a currency. It is not conditional. It exists within. And when that truth settles in, everything changes. There is no longer a need to beg for acceptance, to shapeshift for approval, to seek completion in someone else. Because nothing was ever missing. The love that once seemed so distant was never outside. It was always here, waiting to be recognized. This is the power of self-love. Not a fleeting feeling, not an indulgence, but a knowing, a foundation, a force that does not waver no matter who comes or goes. And from this place, love is no longer something to chase. It is something to be. The story has always been the same. A script written before there was ever a chance to question it. Success means worth. Love must be earned. Happiness is something to chase. And so the role was played. The expectations were met. The search continued, always reaching, always hoping that one day, everything would finally feel right. But the script was never yours to begin with. It was passed down, shaped by voices that didn't know any better. It was built on the idea that you are incomplete, that something outside of you holds the key to fulfillment. Now, the old story begins to fall apart. The words that once dictated every choice, every feeling, no longer hold the same power. Because the truth is clearer now. There is no need to prove anything. No need to fit into a mold that was never meant to hold you. No need to measure worth by how well the world applauds. The narrative is yours to rewrite. And this time, it is not a story of seeking. It is a story of being. Of existing fully, freely, without waiting for permission to feel whole. The mind is a masterful architect. It builds identities, constructs fears, weaves together stories of who you are and who you must become. It fills the silence with thoughts, relentless, persuasive, unquestioned. For years, it dictated every move, every doubt, every insecurity, every restless craving. It all came from the same place. The mind convinced you that freedom would come once all the conditions were met. Once you were successful enough, loved enough, worthy enough. But what if freedom was never about fixing, achieving, or becoming? What if true liberation is not about adding anything but about letting go? Something deeper begins to emerge. Presence untouched by thoughts. A space beyond the noise. The mind still speaks, still tries to pull you back into the chase. But now there is distance. Awareness. A realization that you are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. And in that knowing, the weight begins to lift. The fears lose their grip. The endless striving softens. Because nothing outside of you can shake what was never dependent on the external to begin with. This is freedom, not the absence of thought, but the ability to see beyond it. There was never anything missing. That was the truth hidden beneath years of searching, beneath every pursuit, every longing, every belief that something more was needed. For so long, fulfillment seemed like a destination, something to be reached through success, love, or the approval of others. But all of it was just a reflection of a deeper misunderstanding. The idea that wholeness was somewhere outside, waiting to be found. Now, the search is over. Not because the world has changed, but because the illusion has dissolved. There is no need to chase, to grasp, to prove. No need to seek completion in someone else's validation or in the next great achievement. Because everything that was being sought has always been here. Peace, love, fulfillment, not as things to earn, but as the essence of what has always been. The journey was never about becoming something new. It was about remembering, returning, seeing clearly what was true all along. You were never incomplete. You were never lost. You were whole from the very beginning. The search is over. Not because you found what you were looking for, but because you've realized it was never lost. Happiness, love, fulfillment. They were never things to chase. They were never waiting in someone else's hands. They were always here within you, untouched by success, failure, or the opinions of others. You were never broken, never incomplete. And now you see it, not as an idea, not as a hope, but as the undeniable truth of who you've been all along.